Hey everybody! On today's episode of With or Without Whiskey, we will be reviewing Mythology Syrah finished whiskey. Stick around. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of With or Without Whiskey. Just like always, I'm your host Ryan, and today we will be reviewing Mythology's Syrah finished whiskey. So, just like always, I'm going to start with a brief introduction. I'll give you some information about the whiskey itself, a little bit about the distillery and where it comes from, and some fun facts that I found. Then we'll get into the review aspect where I give my nosing and my tasting notes. Then I'll give it a grade from 1 to 100 and let you know if I'm going to be with it or without it. Stick around. So I already talked a lot about the Mythology distillery in a previous video of mine on the best friend bourbon that they do. So if you want to know more about them, go check out that video. Today's video is going to focus only on the Syrah finished whiskey that they do at the distillery. The Syrah finished whiskey is a limited release bottle that is put out by Mythology Distillery every fall. It is their Hellbear whiskey finished in Syrah wine barrels that they get from the Dominio 4 winery in Oregon. Last year, the spirit animal was the same as the Hellbear whiskey, but this year, it's an octopus and an old school scuba diver. Just like all the other bottles that Mythology releases, they have a nice little story on the back of the bottle. Stick around to the end of the episode and I'll read it for you. I spoke to the head distiller of Mythology, Chris Rittenauer, and he told me that he coordinates with the winemaker to get the barrels picked up within a day of them being dunked so that he can get as much of the wine flavor to impact the whiskey as he can. He also told me that this year's batch finished in those barrels for 10 months. They released 4 different barrels of this whiskey this year, 3 in Colorado and 1 store pick in Massachusetts. This whiskey is a blend of 2 to 3 year old rye with a mash bill of 95% rye and 5% malted barley, a 4-year bourbon, which is 60% corn, 36% rye, and 4% malted barley, and a 5-year bourbon, which is 68% corn, 20% rye, and 12% malted barley. It is 94 proof, or 47% ABV, and costs about $70. All right, let's get into it. Nice little cork pop. All right. So the first time I ever went down to Colorado, I visited this distillery, and I went to the tasting bar they have there, and they were all out of this whiskey, and I was so sad. So I had to wait almost a whole year to get it again. So I've been super excited to try this one. All right, so if you look at the color right away, it's got a very deep red in there. So it's got that traditional whiskey kind of dark amber, but it's also got that deep red that you get from the wine. So it's got a very unique and interesting color. All right, let's give it a nose. Okay, the first thing I'm getting on there is like fresh berries. Like a bowl of mixed berries, like blueberries, raspberries, those sort of things. I get some honey, I get some caramel, and I get like this raspberry jam kind of smell. Like if you've ever had somebody make you fresh jam, it smells like that, which is very nice. If you dig a little bit deeper, you get a little bit of those baking spices. Like you get a little bit of cloves. There's a hint of cinnamon in there, and it's slightly malty. It has a little bit of a malt scent to it. Yeah, I'm not picking up too much oak. I'm mostly getting those berry notes, those fruity notes. All right, let's give it a taste. Cheers, guys. Ooh. All right, so right up front, I'm getting those berry notes again. I get raspberry, I get those blackberry notes. I get a nice cherry on there as well. It has a decent amount of like a rye spice to it, probably from the 95.5 rye that's in here, but it's not overpowering. Like, it's not the only thing you taste. It's a good accent to those fruity notes. Yeah, a lot of what's on the nose transfers to the palate. I'm getting that fresh jam note. So it tastes like if you would just have a spoonful of raspberry jam. It's got that super sweet berry note in there, which is very, very nice. There's a little bit of oak on there, but it doesn't taste like traditional oak. It tastes like oak that was like soaked in fruit juice or something like that. So I imagine if you would taste the oak of a wine barrel, I guess. It's a little weird. The oak has like a fruity note mixed into it, so you're not just getting that oak. It's very interesting. The finish is probably about medium to medium long. I'm getting those dark fruit notes. I'm getting those oak notes, and I'm getting a little bit of like a leathery note too. Hey, it tastes like fresh leather. Don't ask me how I know what that tastes like. All right, let's try one more. Okay, there was this weird little taste that I was getting in here. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but it's like a little bit of lime juice. Like right at the tail end of the taste, it's like that sour, citrusy lime kind of taste, which is very interesting. All right, let's see what happens when we add a little bit of water to it. One, two. All right, mix it around a little bit. All right, let's see what it did to the nose. Okay, the nose really changed once I added the water. Those berry notes are no longer there. I'm getting some of that oak. I'm getting a little bit of that maltiness I was getting before, but the major scent I'm getting is like smoky. It smells like not like a campfire smoke, more like a charcoal barbecue smoke. So you're getting those smoky and those meaty scents that are coming off of that. The rye punch is completely gone. And if I really dig, I can get into those like fruity notes, but it's really like smoky and meaty. Let's see if that transferred over. Oh, wow, yeah. So with the water, you get a good smoky flavor, but it's not like super strong. It's the most unintentionally smoky whiskey I've had. Like if you have something like a peated scotch or a smoky whiskey, it's supposed to be smoky, so you're gonna get those notes. This one doesn't really advertise that, but those are really coming in strong. You can really taste the Syrah through that. It's very savory, and you get those barbecue meaty notes. It really tastes like you're just at a barbecue having some smoked chicken during the summer. Yeah, once you start to peel back those smoky and meaty flavors, then you get back into the fruit aspect of it. But it's not like that fresh, like those fresh fruit notes. It tastes more like fruit flavored things. How can I describe this? Like imagine if you had fruit jello, but you smoked it on the barbecue. So it tastes like smoked raspberry jello. I know that's not possible to do, but that's what this tastes like, and it's super interesting. All right, let's see if I get anything else. Yeah, there's no rye spice taste on that. It's all smoky, meaty, and fruity. So it's a very interesting and unique combination. I don't think I've ever had something that was that fruity and that smoky. Usually you get either smoky with like those underlying fruit notes or fruity with like a hint of smoke. This one was like neck and neck battling for who's gonna be top flavor. All right, so full disclosure on this, I did have a glass of this before, and what I do when I'm originally tasting a whiskey is I'll have it neat and I'll have a glass of water on the side. And when I want to do a water comparison, I'll take a sip of water, I'll put it in my mouth, then I'll take a sip of whiskey so I can kind of see how it mixes. And it did the same thing. It goes right into that smoky aspect once you add the water. And then when you go back to it, it almost intensifies the fruitiness because there's no smoky flavor right there. So that's a really interesting experiment you should try if you have a bottle of this. All right, stick around for the grade. All right, Mythology Syrah finished whiskey. What do I think? So the nose was very interesting. It was predominantly fruity, but it had a lot of different aspects. Like it wasn't your traditional like apple, citrus kind of sense. It was very berry heavy. It smelled like fresh raspberries, fresh blackberries, and then that raspberry jam note, which was very, very interesting and very unique to something like this. There was a little bit of maltiness that punched through. There was those rye spices that came in and a little bit of like honey and caramel, but the major player was fruit. On the taste, that really carried over. There was a good amount of rye spice from that high rye, but it was mostly those berry sweetness. You got the cherry as well, you got that fresh jam flavor, and that weird little lime taste at the end was very unique. I don't think I've had that before. The finish was very nice. It was medium to long. As you guys know, I like a longer finish. There was those dark fruit notes. It had the oak in the finish, and it gave me a little bit of a leathery note. It was a little dry at the end, but it wasn't too crazy where it was like sucking the moisture out of my mouth. Where this whiskey really shines though, is when you add a little bit of water to it. It becomes a completely different whiskey with just 2 drops of water. It went from being a super sweet, berry flavored whiskey with like a little bit of rye spice to this meaty, savory, smoky whiskey that was just backed up with a super sweet fruit. So I got those super sweet fruit notes along with that super savory barbecue kind of flavor. It gave me like a dueling effect where they were both competing to see which one's going to be the #1 flavor, but it wasn't off-putting. It melded together very well. It was like transitioning into smoky, into sweet, into smoky. So it really balanced each other out more than anything. So for Mythology's Syrah finished whiskey, I'm going to give it a grade of 94 out of 100. This was a fantastic bottle of whiskey, one of my favorites. Like, I absolutely loved the Best Friend bourbon that they do, and I thought, okay, nothing's gonna be better than that. And then I had this, and yeah, this is definitely better than that. This is one of the best whiskeys I've ever had. I know it's going to be very difficult to obtain this whiskey. They're only in a select number of states for now. But if you ever get a chance to go to Denver, definitely visit the distillery and pick yourself up a bottle of this if they have anything left. So, for the Syrah finished whiskey, I think we're gonna go with it. This was absolutely fantastic. The only way I think this could be better is if they made it like cask strength. If they ever say that they're going to release a cask strength whiskey, I'll probably like have a heart attack of pure excitement. This was a fantastic bottle of whiskey, and like I said, the only way I can see them making anything better is having a cask strength version of this. This was unbelievable, and I really enjoyed this. All right, well, that does it for today's episode of With or Without Whiskey. If you enjoyed the episode and you had fun today, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button down here. Also, give me a like and hit the bell notification. That way you're informed every time I drop a new video. And do me a favor, leave a comment. Let me know. Have you had anything by Mythology before? Have you tried their Syrah finished whiskey? Do you like it? Do you love it? What do you think? I'd love to hear from you guys. Well, until next time, stay safe, guys. Take care. Navigating the vast blue sea. An explorer searches for treasure left in forgotten vessels at the bottom of the sea. Deep underwater, with only a faint light from his suit, the explorer searches the blue abyss. Suddenly the sea opens, a tentacle shoots out and grabs a hold of the explorer. For a flash, he sees the giant sea monster. Before they plunge together into the deepest depths, the explorer awakens on the deck of an abandoned ship on the ocean floor. The large octopus hovers, then opens the ship's hatch, revealing compartments full of aged barrels of whiskey. The ship guardian uses this ship to store a vast collection of lost but preserved treasure. The explorer finally finds his long sought-after treasure, inspired by the spirit of Ship Guardian. The explorer has brought to the surface the unique treasured whiskey for you to enjoy with your crew.